Hello everyone, this is Li Yingxuan from English Language and Literature Department, Yangtze University. And today I'm going to introduce one factor that will influence the comprehension of relative clauses, that is frequency, which has also been verified in an article called Processing of Relative Clauses is Made Easier by Frequency of Occurrence, published in 2007. First, the intricate ways in which different constraints interact with each other during sentence processing has been a matter of intense debate. And one recent tendency is that information will influence relative clause comprehension. Before we start, I think it is necessary to introduce different types of relative clauses. When the head-noun phrase is the object of the verb in the relative clause, it is called object-relative clauses. An example can be given as the reporter that the senator attacked admitted the error. While sentences containing subject-relative clauses are those in which the head-noun phrase is the subject of the embedded verb. And I'd also give an example here as the reporter that attacked the senator admitted the error. It is a well-established finding that subject-relative sentences are easier to process than object-relative sentences. With regard to this fact, many models can explain this phenomenon from different perspectives. For example, structure-based accounts explain that subject-relative preference in terms of syntactic factors, saying that there are less syntactic gaps in the subject position. While working memory-based approaches differ from syntactic-based approaches in that they rely on functional factors such as cognitive resources and integration constraints, they propose that the storage of incomplete head dependencies in phrase structure causes the increase in complexity in object-relative sentences compared to subject-relative ones, so object-relative sentences are harder. According to similarity-based approach, the processing difficulty in object-relatives is caused by unintegrated nouns in the sentence interfere with each other in our working memory. Finally, according to experience-based accounts, the observed difference can be explained by differences in exposure to statistical regularities of language. And statistical regularities can also be called as frequency, which is our topic today. In order to probe into the influence of frequency in relative sentence comprehension, the author created a corpus containing 69,503 relative clauses. 65% of them are subject-relative clauses and 35% of them are object-relative clauses. When coming to the special type of personal relative clauses, object-relative sentences were more frequent than subject-relative ones because in this table we can see that in the first three columns, the light gray bar is much more than the black bar. When the second noun phrase was an impersonal pronoun its, subject-relative clauses were more frequent because we can see here that the black bar is much more than the light gray bar. And 4 experiments of reading times are carried out based on personal pronouns in clauses, and the results can show that when the embedded pronoun is personal, such as the second personal pronoun you, the first personal pronoun I and me, and the plural third personal pronoun they and them, subject-relative clauses will cost more reading times than object ones, and things become quite opposite when the embedded pronoun is the impersonal is because we can see here that the reading times for object-relative clauses are much more than subject-relative ones. And this trend corresponds with the distribution information that we have mentioned in our previous slide. So the result strongly supports the experience-based approach because statistical regularities, in other words frequency, may influence sentence comprehension. So when it comes to the question, does relative distribution of pronominal object and subject-relative clauses influence processing difficulty? The answer is definitely yes. And we can also see that although memory and referential constraints are likely to play a crucial role during sentence comprehension, they are not sufficient to account for our current data. And our current result point was a need for a model that includes statistical information as a factor that may interact with many other different functions such as memory, referential, and syntactic. So to sum up, our key issue today is that frequency will influence relative sentence comprehension. In other words, the more one sentence type occurs, the less reading time it will require, so the comprehension is also easier. And if you want to know more about details, please read the article that I recommend here. That is, processing of relative clauses is made easier by frequency of occurrence, published in Journal of Memory and Language in 2007. That is all for today. Thank you.